Anders Leonard Zorn was a famous Swedish painter, graphic artist and sculptor. He was known for his passionate approach to life. Zorn embraced everything that it had to offer, and sometimes even a little more. He spared neither money, nor pains, nor energy. When Zorn danced, he danced with all his might. When he drank until the early hours of the morning. Many things came easily to Zorn. For example, he astonishingly quickly found common ground with all sorts of people, be it millionaires, kings, presidents, peasants, maids, especially the pretty ones, of course. He loved and knew how to live. Perhaps that was his secret. Zorn's canvases were not just full of life, they overflowed with it, infecting everyone around with a desire to live. The distinctive features of Anders Zorn's artwork include bold brushwork and a deep understanding of the model's character, which made him one of the most sought-after portraitists of his time. This allowed Zorn to be recognized as belonging to both the Impressionists and the followers of the old school of realism. Zorn was born in 1860 in the suburbs of Mora in the Swedish province of Dalarna. His father, who brewed beer locally, wasn't married to his mother, so Zorn didn't know him well. He grew up on his mother's family farm, balancing his studies with difficult peasant work. Anders did not show much interest in any particular subjects and did poorly in school. However, his talent for art became clear when he skillfully carved wooden figures, and his mother hoped he would become at least a skilled woodworker. At 15, Zorn enrolled in a school connected to the Royal Academy of Fine Arts in Stockholm. 4 years later, he entered the academy itself. Surprisingly, sculpture didn't capture his interest. After visiting an exhibition by Landgren in 1876, Zorn became fascinated with watercolors. To make ends meet during his hungry student days, Anders took on commissioned work. It was through this that he met Emma Lamb, a girl from a wealthy Jewish family who commissioned him to paint her portrait in 1881. Emma was well educated, spoke multiple languages, had refined manners and loved art. The same year, Anders and Emma became engaged. They kept their engagement a secret because Emma wasn't sure if her relatives, who were wealthy textile magnates and aristocrats, would approve of her relationship with a poor artist who was also a bastard. Over time, it became clear that Emma had made the right choice. Zorn became a great celebrity, first in Stockholm and then in London, Paris, Russia and the United States. His fame and income grew steadily. He received awards at prestigious exhibitions. More importantly, Zorn was a trendy artist. It is unusual for the demand of a painter's work to be higher during his lifetime than after his death. Millionaires, presidents, members of royal families, everybody wanted to be painted by Anders Zorn. An American magazine estimated in 1901 that Zorn earned $15,000 a week from his portrait paintings alone. Zorn genuinely enjoyed being popular. When he went to Stockholm, he didn't miss a chance to casually mention to his wife, and especially to her arrogant relatives, something like, "Oscar asked me to paint his portrait," referring to King Oscar II of Sweden. However, Zorn never felt a sense of awe towards noble clients. He convinced King Oscar II to put away all orders and ceremonial uniform, and painted him just as he was, explaining it with his interest in character and not in shiny decorations. He also declined Rockefeller's offer to pay him an extra $1 compared to what President Taft paid, and refused to make his portrait. When Sava Mamontov asked why there were no buttons on his portrait, Zorn replied, "I am an artist, not a tailor." There was not a hint of arrogance in this. Zorn was truly interested in characters and not in buttons or medals. It was the interest that brought his subjects to life and made Zorn himself an incredibly sought-after portrait artist. It's important to mention that not only art dealers and wealthy clients sighed when they pronounced the name of Zorn. His colleagues also highly valued him. James Whistler and the main competitor in portrait painting, John Senior Sargent, expressed their admiration for him. The main geographical centers of Zorn worship were perhaps the United States and Russia. It is enough to say that Russian art critics reproached Korovin, Serov, Arkhipov, Malavin and many others for Zornism. If there was anything that made Zorn's famous portraits less famous, it was his numerous depictions of women. When you look at these brightful and joyful paintings, filled with sensuality, it's difficult not to wonder about one thing. The answer is quite clear though. No, Anders Zorn was certainly not a saint. He enjoyed painting women and had a deep affection for them. It's likely that Zorn wouldn't have achieved such impressive results if he had stricter moral principles. From the outside, Anders and Emma Zorn's marriage seemed solid. They traveled together, appeared in public together, and always returned home, also together. They were partners for many years. However, there was another side of this idyll. Some biographers believed that in the second half of the 19th century, the surroundings of the town of Mora were filled with illegitimate babies. The mothers would always claim to the local priest that they didn't know who the father was, and during baptism, depending on the gender, they wanted to name the child either Anders or Andrea. There is no doubt that Emma Zorn was a patient woman. She tolerated Anders' temperament as long as it concerned maids and peasant girls. However, at least once she felt a real threat when Zorn became seriously involved with Emily Bartlett, a refined society lady he met in Paris. Their relationship, which lasted several years, was not a secret to Emma. There is a preserved photograph in which she plays billiards with her rival. The marriage held for this time too. Emma won the game. Matching Zorn's appetite for women was his thirst for alcohol. Together with Albert Engström, a famous caricaturist, loyal friend and devoted drinking companion, Zorn organized quite epic drinking sessions. According to a popular legend, one of these sessions concluded with impulsive acquisition of a tavern. Zorn and Engström found themselves being expelled from the tavern as dawn approached, but instead of going home, they decided to buy the whole place. In 1922, Sweden held a vote on whether to ban alcohol, and Albert Engström created a poster for the occasion. It showed a glass of vodka, a bottle of beer, and cooked crayfish, a traditional Swedish dish enjoyed during Crayfish Week in August. Engström angrily pointed at the delicious red crayfish on the poster and declared, "The crayfish demand these drinks. If you vote for, you must refuse it." The opponents of the alcohol ban won by 2% margin. Sadly, Engström couldn't celebrate the victory with his old friend, as Zorn had passed away 2 years earlier. Since entering the academy in Stockholm, Anders Zorn lived a double life. No, it's not about his numerous romances or how a realist coexisted with an impressionist. As a student, he lived in Stockholm during autumn and winter, but as spring arrived, he returned home to the remote countryside. He transformed from a sophisticated artist into a simple countryman with little interest in artistic debates. Zorn adored this simple rural life. Even after becoming an international celebrity, he didn't change this tradition. No matter how much applause he received from the world's capitals, he always returned home. True, when Zorn declined Rockefeller's portrait, personal dislike played a part. But the main reason was Zorn's desire to make it home for midsummer, the celebration of the middle of summer which he never wanted to miss. He was deeply attached to his homeland, especially the countryside, his mother and his roots. American Impressionist Edward Simmons described in his autobiography how Zorn would buy expensive coats and furs in European cities and send them to his mother. Eventually, she had a trunk full of them that was hard to close. Zorn didn't think about where the old lady living in seclusion would wear fashionable furs. He was an artist, not a tailor. As early as 1888, Zorn bought a piece of land in Mora and moved his grandfather's old house there, the place where he grew up. Over time, the old house expanded and became Zorn Garden Estate. It was there that Anders Zorn set up one of his studios. He passed away in Mora at the age of 60. After the artist's death, Emma Zorn worked hard to turn the estate into a museum. Today, the museum displays art objects that Zorn collected throughout his life, including his own self-portraits. These paintings shine with light, energy, and life. When someone sees them, they might even consider naming their child Anders or Andrea. Did you like this video? Then don't forget to leave it a like and subscribe to our channel The Mind of Art. And we will meet very soon in a new video. Bye!